It's Sunday, the 5th of May, and the time is 1:19 p.m. My name is Dingane Lutuli, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little low on energy. My roommate slept in today, so I didn't want to record early and disturb her. Of course, that means I stayed up until she awoke and headed out for her real-life plans, so that I could get some work done and hopefully sneak some hours of sleep in before sunset. Which also means that my brain is only half working. And so I'm struggling to find something useful on, or even just relevant to, the crawling shadow. I did, however, come upon something that caught my attention. Another delivery from my father's homeboy, Samson. There's a number of printed off pages that look like, stay with me here, social media posts. Folded over the top left corner of the pages is a note which reads, I know you don't really get online stuff, but this might be something. S. I can confirm that when it came to devices, my father was pretty much useless at anything that wasn't making a call or typing up a document. I remember having to show him how to stream football matches from his laptop. Anyways, let's see what all this is about. File 1, Entry 18, an online thread dated 28th of March 2022, with the first post made at 7:04 p.m. by a user with the handle @Lucanio01. Good people, have I got a banger for you today? Jesus Christ. Good people, have I got a banger for you today? Need y'all to buckle up and enter the brace position. There's also going to be a call to action at the end of this, so just know you will leave this experience with the potential to help a brother out. Ready? Let's kick it off. So, I'm by Southstop on Upper Campus. That's at UCT for the unaware. It's around lunchtime, and I'm waiting for the Claremont shuttle. Got my earphones in, I'm jamming the new Kodak, as you already know, when I noticed that this fine-ass girl has come by to stand right next to me. She's on the shorter side, maybe colored, maybe Indian, I'm not really sure. She asked what I'm listening to, and for a second, I think it's for one of those online videos, but I can't see her recording anything. So I go ahead and show her the album on my phone. Casual, no stress. Then she tells me she's just transferred from Stelli's for a postgrad degree, and she doesn't know the campus well yet, so she was looking to ask for directions. Apparently, and I quote, from the 24 people waiting there for a shuttle, my face looked the kindest. Now listen, I've been in a little dry spell since New Year's. Unusual, I know, but my game's a bit rusty coming out of lockdown. So when she told me she'd keep me company until my shuttle arrived, as a thank you for helping her, I for sure wasn't going to turn down the offer. So we get to talking, and your boy is putting on the moves, like I do. She's cozying up right next to me within minutes, asking all sorts of questions about me, my life, how I ended up here, what my future plans are. A little intense, but good to know I've still got the magic. We keep chatting, and I start thinking, I actually should take this girl out proper. We have good banter, and she's clearly into me. And when she smiles, my guy, you start to feel dizzy. But like, in a good way. It sounds lame, but I promise you, it's just hard to explain. And only then do I notice the shuttle's already here. This girl gets up and looks over her shoulder, asks me if I'm coming. I tell her there's already a bunch of people filling up the shuttle, we won't get a seat, and she just smiles and says, not with that attitude. Girl pulls me along by the hand, so of course I go along, because clearly she's got some sort of plan. We move towards the open door of the shuttle, where folks are already piling in, and honestly, the whole day was kinda weird, but this is when it got, weird. Someone in front of us trips over, knocks into the next person, and they both fall over. Then they knock into the people in front of them, who also fall over. I swear to God, it's like one of those videos where they line up dominoes. Everyone outside the shuttle gets knocked to the ground. The way this girl does not stop walking towards the bus. I was too stunned to speak, but I just followed after her, because it didn't look like anyone was hurt or anything. We get on, and a bunch more people get on after us, and even though the vibe is weird, we take off. She's suddenly cold the whole ride. I try engaging with her and keep getting one-word answers, if even that. When we reach my stop, I get ready for one last effort to ask her out, but just so happens I get a call. O Lady Tenza, who you only ignore if your affairs are in order. I answer the phone and turn to get my bag from my seat, and when I turn back, my mystery girl is gone. At this point, after everything else, I'm losing my mind. Like, I'm standing roadside by Stadium on Main, and I'm convinced I was talking to a ghost or an angel or something. But now that I'm home and I've chilled out a bit, I figured I'd try and see if I can find her on this app. If anyone recognizes her from this, or if she sees it herself, I'd love to get in touch. That's the call to action, by the way, good people. Help me find my mystery girl. That's where the main thread ends. 14 posts in total, the last one made at 7:37 p.m. It didn't go viral or anything, but there's a decent number of replies. It's mostly users familiar to OP, the original poster, either congratulating him on the experience or describing how they would have done better in his position. Few users who seem to have come across the thread question its veracity, or just sort of roll their eyes at the whole thing. There's a few replies that are circled with a red pen, assumedly by our Samson, and the sub-threads are printed on your new page. At 8:01 p.m., one user replies, "Lukes, you gotta give us more than that if you're actually expecting to find this girl. A physical description, at the very least." At 8:15, OP answers, "Like I said, she was kinda short, maybe 160 if I had to guess, medium brown complexion, dark hair, I think some of it was plaited. She had eyes like stars. It sounds crazy, but that's the only way I can think of to explain it." At 8:23 p.m., a different user replies, "So you and this girl walk past a bunch of fallen, possibly injured people, and instead of checking on anyone, you rush to take 2 of their spots on the shuttle." At 8:29 p.m., OP answers, "If the right girl looked at me the right way, I'd drop all those people myself," followed by 3 crying emojis. One reply thread is on its own page. At 8:40 p.m., a user with the handle @SherlinRed replies, "Did you get her name?" At 8:44 p.m., OP answers, "I know she told me it, but I just can't remember the whole thing. Must have been too distracted, you feel? I know it started with a Z though. Zoe or Zaina or something." At 8:45 p.m., the other user replies, "Was it Zia?" At 8:47, OP answers, "It could have been, sure. My mind's just fuzzy on it, sorry." At 8:48, the other user replies, "I think I might have also met your mystery girl, and she, all caps, put me in the hospital." This user then starts their own thread at 9:07 p.m., quoting that last reply in the first post. It reads, I know some of y'all are gonna call BS, but I don't care. I've been holding on to this for a couple of weeks because honestly, I felt insane. But now that I've come across OP's posts, I know for certain that I'm not. And I need him and all of y'all to hear about it too. Short thread below. There are 4 more posts, each containing what seems like a screenshot of a longer text from her notes app. I'll read continuously. Again, if you don't believe it, that's your business. I'm just writing about this to get some sort of release. So, I was at Atlas Flexed, the indoor climbing gym over in Observatory. I used to go there every other weekend before lockdown, and I've been trying to get back up to my usual schedule since I started going again. I was just finishing up with one of the intermediate runs, and I could tell someone was waiting on the ground before I touched down. When I unclipped and turned around, I saw her. Just like OP described, but her hair was loose and pulled back into a ponytail. And when he says her eyes are like stars, he's not joking. It's not the color, there's just something about them that's far away and dazzling. I don't know, it's hard to put into words. She introduced herself as Zia, said she was a beginner at the gym and had taken a few classes, but she was looking for a climbing buddy. Her gear looked pretty new, and she didn't have a speck of chalk on her, so that honestly tracked for me. I wasn't really inclined to pair up with someone who wasn't at the same skill level, but, well, I'm also not above certain natural instincts. I can't super remember what climbs or exercises I helped her with, but I think she managed well enough. At the very least, she was happy enough with my help that she said we should get ice cream to celebrate. I didn't have any firm plans, so after about another half an hour, we got cleaned up and changed, and we headed out. She kept her mask on even when we were outdoors, which, fair play. I'm not one of those crazy people who gets mad at caution and safety. She said she knew an ice cream place somewhere in the area. Kept looking around in all directions as we moved down the street, as if she couldn't quite remember where it was. But she didn't once pull out her phone to confirm the location. When I asked for the name so I could do just that, she said it was a small place and it wouldn't show up on a map, which was the first red flag. Second one was when she suddenly exclaimed that she remembered the way and took us down a side road that I was pretty sure wasn't in the direction of any food places. At this point, my sense of self-preservation overtook my social anxiety, and I went to ask her what on earth was going on. I didn't see it happen. I think I might have heard it, but it was already too late by then. I saw when I was already on the ground, and was told by the paramedics who would later arrive on the scene, that a rusty sign on the storefront I was walking past had fallen and hit my leg, fracturing my tibia and fibula. Before the worst pain I've ever felt in my life could set in, I looked around for Zia to get her to call for help, and she disappeared, vanished into thin air. I mean, it's possible because of the shock, I just responded slower than it felt like I was, and she'd just run around the corner or something, but either way, the girl was just gone. I've gone back and forth about it since it happened, because there's not much else to do when you're looking at 4 to 6 months recovery time. And I could never definitively say how much of it was real, and how much I pieced together after the fact. But even without the confirmation I got today, I knew one thing for certain. There wasn't an ice cream place, obviously. She wasn't trying to rob me or get me disappeared, because my injury would only have made that easier. The only thing that makes sense, and you can rationalize it all you want, but I know it in my soul, is that she was leading me there. She wanted that to happen to me. And once it was done, what reason would she have to stick around? As the user predicted, the replies, outside of sympathy for her injury, are mostly people casting doubt on her story or her reasoning. This is the last of the printed pages. This is a little different from the other stuff I found. At least the worst outcome here was a broken leg, which is a distressing shift in my worldview. When I asked Bongi if she could make it so that I happened to find a job, she said that wasn't her expertise. Is there a kind of witch, a kind of magic that can affect your luck? That is, if this Zia person is in fact a witch and not just a mistaken link between two separate, bizarre encounters. Normally, I'd want to puzzle this one out, maybe do some actual research for once, but I simply don't have the time. For right now, there's more important stuff to focus on. Call to the Dark, created by Sandile Dlamini. Featuring Dingane, voiced by Sandile Dlamini. To keep up with the show, visit @CallDarkPod on social media or email calldarkpod@gmail.com. You can also support the show on Ko-fi by going to ko-fi.com/calldarkpod.